Okay guys, welcome to the second video in our Sidescroller series. Last time we got our background moving and we got everything set up on the right layers and everything. Let's check it out, see how it works. There we go. So that's working, that's pretty seamless. And nice. So what we've got to do now is we've got to get our character moving. So our player here is the car. I'm actually going to rename this to be player, just for the sake of it. And then what we need to do is we need to go new script, and I'm going to call it movement. Okay, let's double click there. If that doesn't open, let's double click over here. Here we've got our base script open again, so let's have a look at it. We're going to set this to 10 if we want to be moving up the screen. We're going to set it to -10 if we want to be moving down the screen. And we're going to set it to 0 if we don't want the car to move on this frame. So I, again, am going to change this to fixed update because we want this to run based on time, not frame rate, so that it's consistent across everything. And up here, I'm also going to make a public, I'm going to give it a public integer. I'm going to call it the speed, so I don't get confused with that with speed. To actually get input from the user, there's a few things we can do. We're going to have to use an if statement in here, so it's going to repeat this once every, I'm going to say frame because that's easier than referring to it with the time. So let's say once every frame, it's going to check if the user input, we can use get key. So there is get key down, and get key up. So if we do get key down, that is only the first time it's pressed down. When it's held, it doesn't do it. So if you wanted to move it, you'd have to smash that key a lot. So the get key up is when the key is released. So if I were charging up a move or a throwing something, then I could use get key down, and while the user's holding it in, I'd set a timer, I'd increase the power, and then when get key up is accessed, then it will finish that off. But easiest for us is to just use get key. And then we have to say what key it is. So we use key code, and because this is going to be moving up, we're going to use W. What we can also do is, and this is totally up to you guys, we can use OR. Actually, I just like putting things in brackets. Who I am. Okay, and then we can change that to up arrow as well. That just means that the user can either press W or up arrow, depending on what they prefer. Okay, and then if they're trying to go up, we'll set vertical move to be vert speed. For consistency, I'm going to put plus. Then, sorry, else. And it's really just easiest to copy this entire statement because we're only going to change a couple things. Instead of W, we're going to do S, and instead of up arrow, we are going to do down arrow. Similar here, but we are going to make it negative vertical speed because we're going to be moving down the screen. So that works, but that will keep the speed. So we need to say if neither of those are being pressed, then we're going to set the vertical speed, the vertical move to 0. Oh, it's an else if. My bad. What's next? We have to actually set these. So we've got our variable, we just need to transform our actual player. So we've got our vertical move set depending on what the user's pressing. Now all we need to do is we need to set the transform for our player. So we're going to write transform dot translate, and then we'll, so this is going to move the transform in the direction and distance of it. So what we want to do is we want to create a new vector 3, and we're not moving any on the x-axis. We are moving some on the y-axis though. So let's just put in our vertical move and a semicolon. The thing about vertical 3 is we can actually just, we don't have to put the z-axis in there because it'll just assume it's 0. We may as well not. It's up to you. There's one more thing we need to do though, and we need to multiply it by time dot delta time. Oops. And that has to be inside. So we are translating it by the distance for the time. If we give that a go now, let's just go Control S to save it. Let's test it out. And it will probably not work because we have forgot to set a value. So let's go to our player. So now that it is fully updated, we can change the speed for our car. I'm going to start it at 10, and then we can see how it changes. Hey, there we go. It's moving fairly quick though, and it's moving off the screen. Okay. What I might do is I might change it to 7. Oh, let's go 5. Okay. I think I do like 7. The only thing is I can't make this, I can't make it a decimal because I made it an integer. I might go back and change that. But 7 feels good. I like 7. Now, we still do have the problem of our car trying to move off the screen. There's an easy way to fix this, and that is literally just, let's change the Y position to when it looks like the car will start to go off the screen. So it's about 4.5. I'm just going to round it. It doesn't matter too much if it goes off the screen a little bit. It's up to you if you want to be conservative or not. I just like 4.5. And it's fairly safe to assume that the bottom edge will be minus 4.5. Yeah, cool. So we need to say that we can only move upwards if our car is not too high up already. So if the player is trying to move up, they can only go up if transform.position.y is less than 4.5. If it is, then that's fine. If it is 4.5 or it somehow manages to get above, we are going to say that they cannot go up anymore. So we will just not let them make the vertical move rather, be anything except 0. So this section of code here, this will limit whether they go above the screen. We've got to do the same for the bottom of the screen. So let's just copy this, paste it here, and we're going to just swap a couple things to minus. If the Y position of the car is greater than minus 4.5, then that's fine. They can move downwards. Otherwise, they cannot move any further downwards. I'm also going to pop these at the bottom. I was just wondering why I didn't like looking at my code, but that's it. Okay, so let's save it. Open it back up and give it a test. Okay. You probably can't hear my keyboard that clearly, but you'll just have to trust me that I am trying as hard as I can to go past these edges. So I'm happy with that, falling off the edges of the screen a little bit. Up to you though, whatever you like to do. Okay, that's our basic car movement down. Something that you might like to do yourself is let it move forwards and backwards, you can just adapt the rest of the code that we've just made for that fairly easily. I remember when I first made the game, I let the car move to about the halfway point of the screen. I don't want them moving all the way up the top, but I mean, it's each to their own, really. Complete creative decision to you. Okay, thank you very much, and on to the next tutorial. The next one, we're going to be talking about collisions and running into stuff. Cheers.